Welcome back, everybody. You got Will and Iman here from the Block Runner, MetaZone, Rovi, and MScribe, and today we're going to talk about Bitmap Takeover.
There we go. So we have ordinal takeovers typically on Fridays, ideally.
That's right.
And this is going to be Wednesday, or a Bitmap takeover. So there's a lot of things, I guess, taking over at some point, the mainstream Web Three Zeitgeist. And we're predicting it's going to start with ordinals, and then it's going to trickle to bitmaps, and then who knows, maybe it's the other way around. If bitmaps, if the metaverse becomes that thing that really gets people reinvigorated about this Web3, progression.
It seems as they are invigorated as the fleet has been out there in full force.
Which one exactly?
The Bitmap fleet.
Oh, the fleet of the Starship cruisers or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. So we're gonna talk about that later. You guys, you Bitmap enjoyers, you Bitmap loyalists, whatever you want to call ourselves. Literally, it's an army at this point, because I haven't seen like this kind of
enthusiasm.
Yeah, it was literally like a full blown attack.
Yeah.
Once the Starship cruiser of Animoca brand started to approach.
Yeah.
I'm envisioning Star Wars for some reason.
Have you ever seen that movie?
Of course, dude.
Okay, I don't really watch that, so.
Oh, dude.
Yeah, it's weird, right?
You like Marvel, but you don't like Star Wars?
Yeah.
Well, we're gonna have to watch some Star Wars so that you can understand a little bit better.
Yeah.
How cool it is, how much better it is than Marvel series.
All right, so let's take a look at this. So we got the holder count at 22,800 people and change.
Yeah, we've been tracking this holder count since Blockout, and I think around Blockout it was roughly around 21,000-ish. Right?
I don't think so. No, it was like 16,000.
No way. At Blockout?
Yeah.
Wow. That's crazy. Yeah, you're probably right, to be honest. But in order to figure that out, you got to go back to one of our previous videos, Blockout.
Yeah, because I remember telling you, it's like I wish we could have reached 18,000. Because that would have been the other side's holder count.
That's a good point. Because we fell just short of that. So man, we really wanted to flex on Yuga Labs, right?
Yeah.
It's like, look, dude, we have more holders.
That's right.
Organic holders. We didn't have to, collect $500 million from people
right.
to hold our assets. It's like these things were fairly minted and distributed because there's a universal mission and purpose behind this, that everybody can take part in. And yeah, we fell short, but quickly the community showed up. Yeah. And the numbers got bigger and bigger and bigger.
So much bigger that we're still at number 2 under Sandbox. Sandbox has 24,000. And so we're basically 1,200 holders away before we break the Sandbox ceiling. Mm-hmm. And then who knows what happens after that.
I mean, at that point, it's literally like a fucking...
The biggest Web3 metaverse.
We're like in the ether at that point, right? Like we can just... Yeah. We have the title of the biggest as a community, as an ecosystem, unexplored territory. What that potential, what that realized potential looks like, right?
Yeah, and this is where I think parceling is going to play a big role because there's 850 million parcels in Bitmap.
Yeah,
and that's a lot of parcels.
Yeah, think about it. Like all that's really been distributed at this point is it's like we've inscribed. Or we formalize the existence of the potential for roughly 800,000 or so sandboxes or Decentralands or other sized virtual environments that can exist.
Yeah.
Right now there's 22,000, almost 23,000 owners of these virtual environments, the developer bandwidth space of this virtual metaverse on Bitcoin. So yeah, we haven't even gotten to the phase where now we're going to actually divvy out what's the community of each one.
Yeah, the whole concept is that the theory that once you have a bitmap, you have these parcels and you want your community to hold these parcels.
Yeah.
Because they're going to want to contribute to your virtual experience, right? So once you start onboarding people into the parcels, then we're starting to get like 50,000, 100,000 holders.
Yeah. Yeah. Now we're building, again, we're showcasing the utility of bitmaps as like the ultimate community building tool, right? Right now, Web3 kind of regards like JPEGs as the ultimate community builder.
Right.
Like, hey, let's put out this art and let's get a bunch of people interested in this art and to, acquire them and use them as part of their on-chain identity, whatever. We're all aligned in that ethos. But yeah, once we actually get people, deploying virtual environments and experiences that all people can align towards and communities can flourish through that, I think pretty soon people are going to realize like the maximum utility capabilities of that in comparison to
100%
pictures.
agree.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you're 100% correct.
That's my pitch, dude. Why 3D?
Yeah.
3D greater than 2D. That's just me, dude. You know?
Yeah. I mean, you could do anything with a piece of land.
Yeah.
And that's the whole idea. Is like you can't do a whole lot with a 2D JPEG.
You really can't. It's just like, I mean, unless you do what Recursive IO is doing, like you just kind of like slap it down into a 3D environment and enable people to like traverse it in like the two-dimensional. It's like a weird hybrid between 2D and 3D, but still, even that is like technically a 3D experience.
Kind of, for the most part, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Bitmaps and Sandbox neck and neck. All right. So we're looking at the chart here from CoinGecko on Bitmap. And it was funny. We were looking at the different ranges here in days, right? And let me see if I can. There you go. And Bitmap's been around for no longer than 90 days, right? That's the max extent of this chart. Yeah,
this definitely isn't some sort of like something that was around years ago, right? It's very important to contextualize that into any discussions. Like, this thing's only 3 months old.
Yeah,
literally. And here it is. This is a representation of, I guess, the market value of the collective ownership space of Bitmaps, right?
Yeah. So right now the market cap is around 6 million, and it took a little dip there, and it got into the area of despair.
I think around this stages, right? That's whenever like the the classical influencers, the ordinals phase, the ones who were fading Bitmaps in the beginning.
Yeah,
that was their point to be like, see, we told you so. You guys,
was it that, or was it all ordinals are dead? That was the ordinals are dead.
That's true. There was both. Yeah, it wasn't just like Bitmaps. It was in the dumps.
Everything.
The whole ordinal space kind of like just lost its steam, right?
Yeah.
Just because
I think people were building and like the announcements weren't like consecutive, like back to back. Yeah, we were used to.
Yeah, we can only do so much with like the existing infrastructure of BRC20s, right? Just a bunch of dumb assets that do nothing.
Yeah.
Same thing with like, JPEGs, just a bunch of dumb pictures we've seen before that do nothing.
That's right.
And the market got exhausted quick, right? But now we're starting to see, like recursion is starting to pick up. So like now this art stuff is starting to become way more complex and interesting.
Yeah.
And then of course now we have Metaverse building tools starting to come online. Now people are starting to realize the actualized value of Metaverse on Bitcoin.
Yeah, so speaking of inscribe.space, the moment we've been waiting for is finally here. So our builder is live. So let's jump into one of these worlds here. And we clicked on this one, and now we're here.
So this is like so we were talking about this the other day of like, because we're building mscribe ourselves. Like, wouldn't it be cool if like whenever you click on my inscriptions, because on every ordinals platform, everyone has like an inscription inventory as part of like the user interface.
Yeah.
It's like, wouldn't it be cool if you clicked on that and it actually ported you into a 3D immersive environment where you can actually, exist alongside your inscriptions.
Right.
And that's what people are leveraging this tool to do, exactly that. So what you're looking at are like a gallery of different bitmap punks, right?
Yeah. And so I think the tools allow you to terraform. And so if you have a bitmap that has multiple transactions, as we're seeing here, you can kind of like position these in whatever way that you want. You can create like a platformer, right? You could create like, I think one of their tools allows you to create a maze.
Yeah, you can create actual games with like real physics. Oh yeah, this is cool.
It's the Squid Games.
Yeah, so there's instructional videos out there. Definitely go to inscribe.space's Twitter page and look for all the instructional videos that have been released, because it tells you how to use the tool itself to build stuff. Oh God, did you already lose?
First one, dude.
Whoa, dude, there's spikes. It's been a while since I've seen this movie, but basically the concept of the movie was like,
it's a show, dude.
It's a show? It's like a series?
Yeah.
Oh damn. Okay,
you screwed up.
I just unveiled that I haven't seen it at all. Obviously, I just heard a lot about it. So you tell me, dude, what's Squid Games? Because you've definitely seen it.
So apparently in Squid Games, people are playing these like mini games, but their life is on the line.
Okay.
And and it's all for money, right? That's the whole purpose of it.
Damn, dude.
Dude, what the hell?
Maybe it doesn't work because you've fallen through both sides, right?
Yeah. I want to go to the right one again.
So one of the platforms is supposed to be stable.
Yeah.
And then another one is supposed to break.
Yeah, correct.
Right. So if you choose the wrong one, you fall to your death, as you have done repeatedly now for like 4 or 5 times. But you get the idea. Dude, you suck, dude. Are you missing it, or is it just not functioning correctly?
I don't know. It's hard to tell.
Okay, well, it's definitely not the right side. Dude, give the left side one more try. Let's take a look.
Okay, here we go. Almost there.
Slow down, dude. Really methodically do this.
All right, here we go.
Make sure you let. Oh, dude, it was you just whiffing, dude. All right. All right, now what?
Left or right?
TJ, what do you think? You pick.
Right.
Go.
All right, here we go.
Oh, what a
nice.
pick. All right, I say stay right, dude.
Right? All right. Oh, rip.
Okay. Rip and pepperonis, dude. You suck. We suck. We're all dead now.
All right, so there's that. And there's a bunch of them that you can try here.
Yeah.
And so this was just announced
A couple days ago.
Yeah, a couple days ago on the 17th.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so
this is an open tool. And by the way, all these I like on-chain recursive inscriptions, I think.
that's right.
There's a lot of like complexity to what enabled all this, and this has been a couple of months of hard work. So congratulations to the team
Yeah.
at inscribe.space
Yeah,
for pulling this off.
And we asked them to answer a couple of questions, right?
Yeah, so we're going to have a written AMA series on a newsletter that we'll be publishing soon. So we're going to have a whole like new like email newsletter thing, so we could keep our audience engaged on exactly everything that we're looking at and focusing on the ordinals and bitmap space, right? So
Yeah, so be sure to go to theblockrunner.com. There's a spot for you to enter your email address, and then you'll get updated with all the latest.
yeah, because we're cranking out the audio visual interviews. We have a lot of them coming up soon with
there's
a lot of founders in this ordinal space. We want to talk to them all.
Yeah.
But we're also going to incorporate written AMAs for people maybe who don't, want, or maybe, people want to read some stuff.
Or they can't. The English is not their first language.
Correct. Yeah, some of the founders in the ordinal space do not speak English, so we cannot, interact like this with them. So, but we can, translate our inquiries to them, and then they can send us something back. So
Yeah, thank you, AI.
that's right.
Yeah.
So yeah, we want to provide as much value and content as we can to like keep up with this space, because I mean it's moving so fast.
So speaking of, Bitoshi Moto has been tweeting recently, and he says it's not Bitmap, and that's okay. So he's referring to the conversation between Leonidas Trevor on the Ordinal show with Life Beyond. And he says, but it would be better for all parties if it implemented the Bitcoin Metaverse standard, aka Bitmap. I built it not to compete with Animoca, but to gift a framework for Metaverse builders across the pond.
Yeah, and that's the value we saw as Metaverse builders, right?
Yeah.
Because we spent a lot of time building and for the open Metaverse on the Ethereum side, 4 years literally, and we've identified a lot of issues with that. One of the main ones being like the fragmentation of effort. And we saw an opportunity in Bitmap. Is like, oh, now we have an ecosystem alignment tool in Bitmaps. Like now we can all kind of collaboratively build infrastructure components together.
Yeah.
By leveraging this standard, right? So it's very organic. It's very grassroots. Everything we love about Web3.
Right.
And then, yeah, Animoca kind of hinted as they're exploring, the ecosystem of the Metaverse on Bitcoin. That got us excited, right? It was like, dude, they must see what we see.
Yeah.
Right? That's what I thought.
Not only that, Yatsu has a TED Talk talking about open Metaverse and open building and all that.
The importance of all these things we just said, right?
Yeah.
And so we're like, dude, there's no way these guys aren't going to like pump bitmaps here.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, they dropped the ball as hard as you could in as far as like, understanding these things that we're talking about.
Yeah.
Instead, it was like, the typical Web3 industry
which is
pitch.
Which is okay. I mean,
it is okay. There's obviously a huge space for that.
There's a huge space, and there's evidence to suggest that works. Right? We have things like Roblox with 65 million daily active users. So it's not a bad bet to kind of like build your own experience and hopefully extract some of that value that Roblox has. Yeah,
and this whole thing is brand new too. Like all of Web3 Metaverse, all of Metaverse generation period has all been like arbitrary.
That's right.
Rooted in arbitrary creation mechanisms, right? The whole thing.
Which is all that we've had up until this point.
Up until this point, yeah. Now we're exploring this whole new potential of non-arbitrary digital creation mechanism.
Also,
which known as DMT.
DMT, and as a result, Bitmap.
Yeah. And yeah, so we shouldn't all like get so aggressive so quick, like that people don't get it as quickly as we do, I guess, right? Because
I mean, we also jumped the gun too. I mean, we were alluding to the fact that they were going to bring a bitmap, but they didn't.
Yeah.
But it's okay because the invisible hand is going to pick, and you know, it takes a ton of money to build like really solid experiences. So
and these are big entities with lots of money at stake, right?
That's right.
And they have a lot of invested interests, like a lot of investors that control things, right? And a lot of these investors, they're professionally programmed to like avoid risk.
Oh yeah, 100%.
That's literally the whole thing. So whenever you have like that kind of entity behind you, it's like you can't take these wild risks like a community of open source developers can, right? Like we can kind of like we can pivot into any direction really, as like as long as we see value there.
Yeah, and the opportunity with Bitmap is complex just because you'd have to build something brand new. You'd have to build a world generation engine based on your procedurally generated bitmaps.
Yeah, and if you decide to use, you decide to use the information embedded within that as like the source codex or whatever.
None of these things exist.
Yeah, so the tools and infrastructure need to be built, right? Obviously, it would be nice if Animoca like chipped in here and helped build some of this stuff. But I think it's more so we're just not at that stage yet as an ecosystem. More builders need to kind of like step up.
Yeah,
and I guess build this organically in the indie sense.
Yeah.
And then once they get some traction, and it's like, let's say inscribed.space, let's say like 100,000 bitmaps are building with these tools. That's something Animoca will look at.
Yeah,
like,
100%. Yeah.
You know what? Like we should probably, expand on this and like see what other tools that need to be built. Stuff like that, right?
Yeah, and so if you look at the comments here, there's like bitmap or die trying. Bitmap is all we need. And so, this is the full fleet coming into force here. Yeah,
this is where we literally are like the Death Star sending out the fleet of like to shoot down the starship coming in.
I think the point here is that Bitmap represents something new. I mean, a new world, a new game. That's cool.
Yeah.
But a virtual environment based on the data on Bitcoin's blockchain is just much more cooler.
I think so too. And then I think also if you're Animoca and anybody really, and you stumble across this kind of passion in a community, in Web3's all history, forever history, I feel like this is the number one indicator you want to look for.
Yeah.
Like it's like I want to like explore this ecosystem because a community like this exists supporting it, right? There's nothing better in Web3 than that.
Yeah.
It's like early NFT community, right? They're this passionately in support of this idea. Right?
Yeah, I mean, think about the opportunity that's happening here. We have 800,000 blocks, which are 800,000 bitmaps. Each one could be its own sandbox.
Exactly.
Its own Decentraland.
Yeah.
And we have 23,000 holders holding these assets, and this is like a brand new sort of angle on an open metaverse. It is purely grassroots as it could possibly get.
Totally agree, dude. So that's why we're here. That's why we're sticking here. And at some point, Animoca will jump on this ship as well because they're going to be forced to. As long as this ecosystem continues to expand and grow and more developers see the value.
Right.
The holder count continues to grow.
Yeah.
The market cap slowly goes upwards because,
builders are going to keep building.
Correct.
Yeah.
Then, these things will all fall in place. So no need to panic, lads. Everything's going exactly as expected.
But I'm in the DMs with Ben Charbit. I definitely want to talk to him just because if you click on his name here, he's the CEO of Darewise. So I think Darewise also contributed to the design of the Ape token.
Oh, really?
Yeah, something like that.
Interesting.
Yeah. So this guy's really interesting. I heard him speak. Really intelligent guy. So hopefully we can get him on the podcast to, pick his brain.
You might also be thinking, just for, accuracy's sake, you might be thinking of Horizon Labs because they were also part of this like collective announcement because Horizon Labs.
That's right.
They assist with like token economics and stuff like that. And so, but it was like a whole thing at the Token 2049 conference, like a a big announcement that Animoca is entering the metaverse space on Bitcoin. So
that's correct.
Nonetheless, like Animoca's presence is here.
Oh yeah,
it's felt,
which is a big deal.
Yeah.
All right, so continuing on, So Chris has an announcement. Says the public claim should be open this weekend. The first domino falling is the one that leads to the snowball effect. So what they've accomplished in the last 10 weeks was basically told to him to be impossible.
Mm-hmm.
And so finally, Bitmap Valley claiming should be happening this week. And he's got a video kind of like starting off of how to, start the claim. So how to verify your bitmap into the Bitmap Valley.
Hell yeah, dude.
So all the links will be in the description, but shout out to So Chris. I think we should be getting one of these pretty soon. So
yeah, we'll definitely be dabbling and exploring with you guys once all this is like rolled out officially.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, So Chris this weekend, and this video will be posted on Wednesday. So plenty of time to get ready.
All right. One last thing.
Recursive. The BRC 420 is the Metaverse protocol in ordinals, enabling inscription assets to function across engines, games, and chains. So what we're looking at here is a BRC 420 standard for royalties and interoperability.
Interesting. So this is definitely right up our alley, considering we have a Metaverse asset app store called the MetaZone. So we have a lot of experience as far as like creating user-generated ecosystems where, because obviously the thing that's going to make the Metaverse actually valuable is the content layer, the application layer.
That's right. That's right.
So figuring out how to create the right, I guess, understandings and rule sets to
framework.
Yeah, to enable like a creator economy to emerge from the Bitmap Metaverse ecosystem. It's going to be important, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and it says here, whether it's inscribing, engine rendering, or running in games, BRC 420 supports it all across 2D and 3D, or even Vision Pro. It's already embedded in Bitmap Explorer. We've supported Unity and UE5 and partnered with Web 3 gaming platforms to build a cross-chain and device metaverse.
Right on, dude. And this royalty standard is interesting because it's not like an on-chain enforced thing.
Correct.
It's like a lot of what we've seen in this space, right? You got to set forth like an understanding, a framework for indexers, right?
Correct. Yeah, the indexers are the ones who enforce the rules, basically.
And then the platform builders, they like slap on like all the right like front end.
Yeah, correct.
Buttons. Yeah, I guess to make it all happen, right?
Yeah. So the royalty standard for BRC 420 allows creators to deploy licenses of their work with royalty pricing and quantity. Royalties will be sent directly to the creator in the same transaction on chain. Officially, BRC 420 website will be released soon.
See, this is badass considering a lot of like what's killed the NFT market, I would say, is the removal of like a royalty standard.
Yeah, I feel like that was a missed opportunity for OpenSea to maintain.
Yeah, they really
could have just catered to the art community,
the actual creator side. Of
the creator side, and just like Blur should have just catered to the degens, which
it would have been fair. It would have been fine, like a separation.
It's just market differences, right?
Right, but like collectively, like the whole NFT market just decided to embrace the idea of, sorry, creators, you guys are fucked.
Yeah.
In other words, but here we are, Metaverse creator ecosystem. Right. We're embracing royalties, right?
That's right.
So
and so the way that it gets embraced is like you were saying is through the indexer.
Yeah. So
you can mint these, and if you don't pay the royalty, it's just the indexer will consider your inscription as not valid.
Yeah.
And so think of the indexer as like the smart contract functionality.
Correct.
Yeah.
Which it seems to be this is where ordinals are headed, but that introduces a whole new slew of interesting dilemmas. But speaking of that, we're going to have an interview with Genie Data. It should be out this Saturday.
That's right.
So speaking of indexers, perfect time to segue into that. So don't miss out on that conversation because we really want to get into the meat and bones of like this indexer thing and how important it is and how everyone's going to align and participate in and upholding all this.
Yeah, and how do meta protocols that get developed by Recursive and us, like how do all these like play along with each other like through the indexers, right?
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, there's a lot. Yeah, exactly. Like now, how do we embrace this? We'll get into it on Saturday.
So Recursive, all the links will be in the description as always. Appreciate it. We talked about a lot of things. Let us know if you have any questions, and if you want us to be talking about something specific, let us know in the comment section below. Follow us on Twitter, all our channels, and we will catch you in the next video.
Peace.